Okay, so you can see my slides, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Thank you. Hi, my name is Tanmay Gupte, and I'll be talking about binary neutron star initial data, which we have constructed using the initial data code Lorraine. So what is the importance of initial data for BNS mergers? Binary neutron star mergers, we need to incorporate, because of presence of matter, we need to incorporate computational fluid dynamics along with GR while modeling them. And that's why they're harder to model. And also one of the most important reasons why we study BNS mergers, which we have seen from the talks from today, is the equation of state of nuclear matter inside a neutron star, and that is still theoretically unknown. So the EOS, it leaves an imprint on the BNS merger process, and also the gravitational wave signal, which is the observable that we see with the current detectors. And especially like for resource parameter estimation, we have to build a template bank for the gravitational wave templates, and which we use to compare the observed signals to the theoretical templates. And these gravitational wave signals, they depend on different characteristics. For example, the total binary mass, the mass ratio, and the neutron star equation of state. Plus numerical simulations, they are required to predict the gravitational waves from early in spiral to post merger phase. And initial data is the very first step that we require in order to do these simulations. We can also predict the final stage of the merger, whether it will end up as a neutron star or a black hole. So the code that we have used for generating initial data is Lorraine, and it is a publicly available multi-domain spectral method code, which solves the elliptical equations and generates quasi-equilibrium binary configurations. So it uses the TOV equations to model. So Lorraine begins by assuming that both the neutron stars are isolated with the help of TOV equations to model them, and it superimposes both the stars to get the quasi-equilibrium configuration. Quasi-equilibrium means it assumes that the binary is irrotational, has a spatial three metric, and is slow and has slow circular in spiral. So Lorraine solves for the nonlinear elliptical equations using spectral methods and has multiple nested domains. For example, if you see on the image on the right, uh, the image which is at the bottom, the very faint green lines are the domains, and each of those domains, they are centered around both the stars. So both the stars have, so basically the grid has two sets of domains which are centered around both the stars. Um, so Lorraine, it solves for the initial data configurations using the conformal flatness approximation. And it assumes that the gravitational radiation has negligible contribution towards the structure and the evolution of the neutron stars. And the initial spatial metric is transformed as the given equation. So it allows for the placement of the ellipsoidal surface at the boundaries of the neutron star. So this helps in minimizing the Gibbs errors, which is critical for generating good initial data. So one of the domain, the most innermost domain is centered on the surface of the neutron stars. And determining the surface geometry, it is a discontinuous process, which is not easily treated by Lorraine because of the relaxation techniques that it uses. So what it does is it splits all the fields into a component which is centered around each star. And this minimizes the errors from the stellar surfaces, but it does not completely eliminate them. And the domain boundaries, as we saw in the previous image, that they fill up all of the space they go to infinity. And in order to calculate each field in a split fashion, centered around each star. So I'll give you a brief this thing about what elliptical equations it solves, because they're slightly different from the usual elliptical equations. So Lorraine, it specifies a helical killing vector as the configuration would advance forward in time. So not technically time, you would say, as it relaxes towards the uh, convergence, and all the quantities, they remain unchanged when properly rotated at a constant angular velocity in the azimuthal direction. It assumes maximal slicing of the hypersurfaces, and it solves for the following five elliptical equations for the lapse, the shift vector, and the conformal factor. So you can see that it takes the logarithm of the shift vector, and which is why it's slightly different from the usual elliptical equations that we get from numerical relativity. So when, oh, sorry. So when we started initially using Lorraine, we encountered multiple, uh, there were some issues that we encountered. And I'll give you, so Lorraine, it starts each step by assuming the quasi-equilibrium configuration, where you assume a rotational motion and the first integral of motion is given by this equation. Now, when you take the gradient of the first integral of motion in the x direction, you obtain the rotational axis and the angular velocity. And the way it gets the rotational axis and the angular velocity is by using secant method, which is implemented for obtaining the root of the equation. So when we started using Lorraine, we encountered multiple failure modes because of its complicated relaxation scheme. And the safest parameter choices for which we got convergence were low mass neutron star and well separated configurations. Though you cannot increase the separation between the neutron stars by too much, because as you go away from the center of the stars, the resolution gets coarser. Uh, so you also, for dynamical simulations, it's computationally expensive. So you need to have a balance between what the separation between the neutron stars is. And the current routine, which is used to locate the rotational axis, like I said in the previous slide, it relies on an unstable secant method implementation. And so the numerical fixes for the function whose zero we want to find are necessary. The issue with the function is that it requires division by a term which could change sign, so it was discontinuous, leading to a non-continuous behavior of the function. And this has historically been a barrier for generating mass ratios which are away from 1. So for example, you can see in the figure on the left, it had, in the initial stage before we fixed it, there was a very unsteady behavior of the position of the stars, where it would suddenly go to a very low value, and then it was unsteady behavior. And the way we fixed it was we took the reciprocal of the function for each star, which gave us continuous results and stable convergence to a given central enthalpy value for all kinds of reasonable parameters. Oh, so this graph, I'll tell you about the second graph, which was which we encountered unstable behavior even for high mass binaries, where you can see that the center of mass of the coordinate, it's wandering around before settling down to a convergent value. So the reason for this is it uses a baryon mass. So what Lorraine uses is baryon mass for computing the evolutionary sequences. And because baryon mass is an increasing function of central enthalpy, it guesses an enthalpy value for which you would get the baryon mass. And an iterative procedure is implemented to reach a given baryon mass for each star using the central enthalpy. And the evolutionary sequence, it converges towards the mass by multiplying the central enthalpy by this given factor. So because of its relaxation routine, it made it very difficult to relax the configurations extremely slowly. And you could say that it was best to assume that the things will end up being underdamped. So what we did was we modified the routine in which we were able to increase the baryon mass iteratively in steps which are user defined. So you could tell, okay, I want to start, initial baryon mass should be this much, for example 1.4, and I want the final baryon mass to be 2, and the number of steps in which it will go are user defined. And the stepping routine was like shown in the graph, where the most stable results, they began from the low mass configuration, moving inwards to the desired radius, and then slowly increasing the target mass of the binary. So we even put in stepping routine for the decreasing the distance between both the stars. Equation of states. So Lorraine we can use three different kinds of equation of states in Lorraine. The piecewise, so the polytropic US, which is a simple function of pressure and density. The piecewise polytropic US, which uses 4 different segments of polytropes which are stitched together, and you can estimate. You can get the function by specifying 4 parameters, which are the 3 adiabatic indices, and the density at the first dividing part. So the low density region, it's typically not well resolved, but the high density region can be well captured using these parameters. And the third equation of state, which is what we are currently working on, is a tabulated US, and the tables are taken from the stellarcollapse.org website. So like we heard from the previous presentation, the equation of state will tell us how the mass and radius are related to each other depending on what model of the EOS that we are using. And there are 34 candidates for piecewise polytropic, which are taken from the paper Reed 2008. So for the third one, which is the tabulated EOS, so it contains of 3-dimensional tables, which are given in rho, density, the electron fraction, and temperature. And we would slice the 3D temperature lines to correlate the pressure and specific internal.
We're running to time.
Oh, okay. I'll be fast. So there are 2 tables for the tabulated US, which are the one by O'Connor and Ott in 2010, and the other one by Schneider Roberts in 2017. So we have built an initial data library where there are different EOSs for different parameters, the total mass and the mass ratio. And I would like to mention that one of the ways that we define whether the initial data is good or not is with Hamiltonian constraint violations. And these are the plots that we get from IGM and spreads individually for Hamiltonian constraint violations for the LS220 tables, which are taken from 2010. The reason I would like to mention this is because the newer tables, we are not getting convergence for Hamiltonian constraint violations. And one of the ways that we're trying to get it fixed is by making the tables into we have good results for simple and piecewise polytrope. So we are converting that into table format and seeing if the issue is where Lorraine to Einstein toolkit communication problem is happening. So that is one of the ways by which we are investigating why we're not getting good Hamiltonian constraint violations for the newer tables. And also changing the placement of the domains. That's it. Thank you.
Forgot to unmute, sorry. We had time, I think, for a single question. Zvi already had his hand up. So please go ahead. Zvi? Okay. Well, perhaps it's an outdated hand up. Wolfgang also has a question.
Yeah, regarding the tabulated, could someone mute? There's an echo. Regarding the tabulated equation of state, I also ran into problem with Lorentz in the past when this table was not perfectly adiabatic at very low densities, even though it should not matter much physically. It prevented convergence, and So I was wondering if this is also something you're working on to sort of make Lorraine more robust in handling EOS that are actually floating around. So another problem was if the temperature is not 0, but let's say 0.01 MeV or something, again, it's not perfectly adiabatic in that low densities. This actually becomes a strong effect. So do you have any experience with this kind of problem?
So not really. Actually, we were trying to see if the high densities were causing an issue, but we haven't tested with the low densities yet. And we take the temperature slice to be like the most minimum temperature given, which is equivalent to 0.01 MeV. Yeah. But for LS220, we did get good results. So I don't know if it's the version of the table which is causing the issue.
There are actually a few fixes that we have done to the table. Just so most of the tables in installercollapse.org, they don't really care if, for example, the specific internal energy goes negative, or if you get enthalpies which are smaller than 1. And so we changed the mass normalizations of the table so that we at least have these things, you know, always have positive specific internal energies and always have enthalpies which are greater than 1. And this seems to be helpful for Lorraine, but yeah, I'm not really sure if that fixes like the low density region in the way that you're talking about.
Forgetting to unmute. Thank you, Tami. We'll move on to the next talk now by Jay Kalinani, University of Padua.